Okay, so we're going to work on some throwing exercises. Throwing exercises, you need to have done building the ball first, whole body pore breathing, so that you can get your mind and your body into the feeling of vital energy. Once you're in the feeling of vital energy, you guide each action with the sensation of the energy. So if I want to power stretch out, I first relax into the energy, then I gently stretch the energy and extend, 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 while maintaining that feeling of energy. I don't want to stretch more than the sensation. The first exercise, we extend the energy out. So I stretch my mind, let's say to that tree there, and I extend the feeling of vital energy to the tree. I get my mind out, and then I load my body in a way that I'm going to throw out that way. So the stretch is a pre-stretch for a throw, but I've got to get my energy there so that when I throw, there's a vacuum that takes place, and that vacuum pops the energy. And if you throw too hard without training properly, you'll tear something because your protective chi disappears momentarily. The tensions in your body around your joints release, and there's a certain amount of weight in your arm that just passes across the joint. So you do the throwing exercises over and over until your body's comfortable, then you add body weight to it. So you'll literally stretch out and then throw the body weight into the stretch. Stretch and throw. Stretch and throw. Stretch and throw. And in my case, I'll have a critical mass of vital energy awareness, but I don't have cardio. So I can do a batch of them back to back really fast, but now I'm breathing a little bit heavy. So it's like, okay, stop, gather the energy, rebalance the energy. If let's say you were very obese, you would do one throw, come back, stabilize the chi, stabilize the sensation, get back to breathing, and then do a second throw, and you have more gap. If you're an athlete, you can do faster repetitions, and you'll be less regulated by your cardio and more regulated by the time it takes your mind to get onto the feeling of the energy. Now, the reason we need that energy there, we're creating a yin-yang polarity in our body. When I stretch my mind over there and extend the energy, my intent, my mental body, my astral energy, my vital energy is all going that way. And the moment I throw in the opposite direction, that vacuum, that pop, as I disconnect from the energy field, and now it's just purely physical going out, that's what releases all the tensions. Protective chi is momentarily gone. There's that one spark of that moment where the body goes, what are you doing? And energy releases. Most people get aching in their wrist, in their elbow, or in their shoulder joint because of the amount of release. Protective chi just lets go too much. So as a beginner doing this exercise, the first thing you've got to make sure is that you do it moderately. And you do it to the point of it hurts, but it's not bad hurt. It's stimulation hurt. And you keep building up. Now, once your skill develops with that, after a few weeks to a month or two, then you start throwing your body weight into it and moving more of your mass through the strike, always making sure you get that pop to do the release, because that's what stimulates and forces the fascia and the joint open. And that stimulation makes the fascia grow. And then you look at what angles do you need to use. So the basic set that I teach is a stretch on the diagonal, and then you throw to the side. And you stretch out that way and you throw back. You circle up on the diagonal, stretch that way, throw down, and then you stretch down that way, circle, throw back up, come around the other side, throw down, and then stretch, throw back up. That's number 8. Number 9, you throw down this way, and then you throw up in the front. Some people will throw more that way, some people will throw more that way, depending on your use case. And you have these 10 throws. Originally there was 8, I added the extra 2 into the routine on the end. So whether you do 8 or the full 10, and then you switch arms. And you're always measuring your recovery time and the pain across your joints and reflecting on how much intensity of the training session, because very few people will last at this exercise. Most people will break within a week or two and go, I'm not doing this, it just hurts too much. It's too much tearing of muscles, aching of the joints, but that's good. But you want to do it gently. If you do it gently, you get to your destination faster. If you go too primal too quickly, injury, 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 you don't get there. Versus straight up by having a sensitivity to balancing your growth rate. So the turtle wins the race with this particular exercise. Now, as you do those 10 throwing exercises, 6 to 12 months in, you're going to be going, man, I want to do it in relation to the art that you do. So let's say you do diagonal flying in Tai Chi. It's sort of like, oh, there's kind of like that, and then you'll have this one and then that one, and you'll figure out what movements you want to do for your particular art. And whatever strike is in the system, you build it around that particular strike. Now, as you are working on how to make it yours and take ownership of it, you'll have other complementary exercises in there as well. So we'll do rebounding exercises for each one of your strikes. How can you have your partner compress your body and then uproot them, stretch and release and give them a bounce, so their whole mass presses down on your striking line, and you build the striking line through decompressing through an elastic stretch or bounce. You'll find that there's a high degree of creativity that's needed to take ownership of the exercise. Now, evolution of any model is dependent on openness. A gatekeeper can't evolve because they've got a closed gate and they've got a closed heart, and they go, oh, you're worthy, I'll teach you, or you won't teach. So there's no evolution for these types of people. They're stuck in the box that they're protecting. Where if you take the attitude of, okay, I've got this exercise that stretches that way, throws energy that way, and there's a pop and a release and fascia builds, how can I do that in a creative way for what my use case is? So let's say you're a guitarist, and it's like, oh, there's a lot about the fingers. You'll be working and stretching the fingers to get the guitar to express itself more faster, more quickly, and with more refinement. And you'll make a hand exercise that's more about the hand and the fingers, and then you'll have dexterity exercises for your fingers. So you just create a whole different output that no one thought of, because you had a need that was unique that you wanted to improve on using this method. So the student's obligation to the teacher is to evolve the system beyond the box that the teacher gives. So even though the teacher took it out of the box and expanded it, next generation takes it out of the box, expands it, and you have to keep expanding it, and that's evolution. And this particular exercise, you take a few months inside the box to build the fascia, build the connections. Once you've established those connections, then you start making it yours, making it unique, and using individual use cases. I taught the exercises to a BJJ guy, the power stretching exercise and the throwing. And within a few weeks, he was power stretching his legs in such a way that he was submitting people with his legs, using the power stretch to trap the stick, and opening it up with the throwing exercises, and added stretching into it, and he got a dexterity in his feet. He didn't have to use his hands to tap people out. You just use his feet to control them, gotcha, pull them in, stick, and then lead them into submission. And it was just a couple of weeks of the training before he made it his. He made it unique, and so I can never see anyone do that. Well done, you know. And this state of openness to evolution and change, that the mind is always ready to adopt something new and evolve, it's a mindset that a small percentage of people have. And if you can take on that mindset, your whole life will change. Because as soon as you're outside the box, you have new choices in front of you. Your options, the menu is totally different. So let's say, as an example, my favorite Chinese dish is duck and orange sauce. love that dish. So what happens to my mind every time I pick up a menu? Where is it? And I'm in the box of oranged up. Where if it was, no, I'm going to try a different dish every time I go to the restaurant. Now I've got a bigger menu. I have more freedom of choice and more experiences. And the same thing in martial arts. You have to keep a very open mind to how you're going to develop yourself, how you're going to evolve, how you're going to change, how you're going to reach that place of mastery. And a master owns the skill. And you can't master someone else's skill. You can only make it yours to take ownership. And this exercise, it becomes very obvious within a few weeks. I've got to tune this into my body. I've got to tune it into my use case. And then I have to evolve it. So when I give it to the next generation, it's better than what I originally started with. And in a lot of cultures, it's rude to do that. In Chinese culture, you're not allowed to change anything until your master passes away. Because you're disrespecting them if you do something differently to how you were taught. In Western culture, let's see how far you can take this. So you have an advantage culturally that you can evolve it to a whole new thing and make it yours as quickly as possible. So take advantage of that desire and ability to evolve and ride that wave with all these types of teachings. Now, the key or the secret to evolution is pulling something back to the underlying principle upon what it's built, and then utilize the principle and express it in a way that works for you. So you've got to defabricate it and put it back together again. And as you defabricate it, all that you're left with is energetic principles. And if you understand the principles, the speed of growth of evolution will be much faster. Okay, so you can do the sitting or standing. We put a stretch, diagonal out that way, and stretch the mind and then do the throw. And then we stretch that way, and then we throw back. And then we bring on a curve up to the diagonal, stretch that way, don't hit the chair, throw down. Stretch that way, circle, throw back up. Big circle to the side, throw down, and then diagonal, elbow down, throw back up. Now with this one, if you have your elbow up, you have a high risk of shoulder injury. If you have the elbow down, low risk of shoulder injury. From there, then we throw straight down, and we throw straight up, pull in, and shoot out. And this pull and shoot out, you can add those on, up and down. You can add them in if you want, or you can just do the first half a dozen. So putting them in pairs of 2, 4, 6, 8 when you train them, so up and down, in and out, and so forth, you get a pattern of, how would you put it, like a loop. When you have to start thinking intellectually about what you're doing, your awareness moves from vital energy and energetic energy and feeling to thinking. So you give up a percentage of your mind frequency to the intellect. So if you pair them like 1 and 2, and then you go do 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, and as a pair, your mind can go into the rhythm of the energy and you just do it much more correctly. And then the next pair, and then the next pair, and then the next pair, and so forth. Vital breathing is super important. Opening the joints and pre-stretching out and extending the mind and whatever before you throw, super important. The principle of extending energy one way and throwing the opposite way is what makes a vacuum and energy pop. And if, let's say, I keep my mind there when I throw, and my energy is still there, and now my body disconnects from the energy, my protective chi releases. So that principle, it's opposite to Tai Chi. Tai Chi, I move the energy and the body moves, and I move the energy back and the body follows. Whereas this, I'm moving energy there, my body goes that way, and it's doing it in a ballistic fashion. Now, what makes it relatively safe is that all the energy and stretch there, so the birth of the movement when you start to tear, you're supported. But as soon as you move out of the shape of where your mind and energy is, that's when you become vulnerable. But most of the risk is right at the beginning, the first explosion, and you're relatively safe at that point. Once you've got those 10 throwing exercises, or 8, depending how many you're doing, then you start going, what are my use cases? And this matters because if, let's say, you do slapping competitions, and your use is this type of big wind-up slap, getting momentum and connecting your mass into it. Now, if I think of that every strike, so I think, how do I get this power? And oh, that's the reverse opposite to that. And then when that comes in, oh, there's that slap. Now I'm going to get more angle connection as I go down for the slap. And when I come up, I'll get more angle connection. And you think about and feel the actual slap or the punch or the strike where you want the power as you do each of those 10. And it builds a facet unconsciously of power for the way you want it. So you take the bigger picture of, I want to get good at this, and you do all those things to get good at that. It changes how you do all those things. So those 10 movements will have micro adjustments, which will build power in the movement you actually want the power to be in. And so mapping all that out, putting it on the wall, and separate the principles to the exercises, because the exercises are changeable, the principles are universal. And then when you have an area or box for your principles on the wall, you'll start accumulating a lot of principles. And then you'll have a journal of universal laws and principles, of energy work, of Qigong, of power development, of whatever your field of expertise is. You'll have a principle-based journal. And it's from that you share knowledge and teach. Because the form is always changing. People's body shapes are always different, but the underlying principle is always the same. So there's this connecting point that allows you to teach anybody the exercises, but the form will be different to suit the person, but the principle will remain. Each time you get a result, so let's say I do the first throw and I cut the air. No crack of the joints, I got the first sound. And second one, there's a little bit of snap in the joint. So there's a sound change. The third, a little bit more crack on the whipping of the fingers opening. And if I go further, there's a lower pitched hum underneath the joints. So the sound goes from the sound of cutting the wind cutting, to cracking a whip, to that tone, that humming tone underneath, and then different sensations and sounds of opening up, like popping and energy coming out, and the tendon stretching and different forms of cracking. Now, some people will get the cutting of the air first, and then they'll start to crack. So in my case, the whipping, cracking sounds came out very early, and it took me longer to get the humming underneath. Where some people will get the humming very early and they can't crack for a year or two because they can't get enough speed. So the humming is the deep fascia stretching and the deep tension opening. The cracking is acceleration and speed and mass moving through the body to get that cracking effect. Now, I would suggest that you do 10-15 minutes of vital breathing, your power stretching exercises that we covered yesterday, and do all those first. If you get them first, then everything gets easier. When you've done 100 hours or so of vital breathing, as many hours a day as you can to reach 100 hours, you get a critical mass of consciousness of, vital energy, there it is. You just move your mind like a feather and you're on the vital feeling, you're in an electromagnetic fluidic space. Then you can do all these exercises much more dynamically because you can keep that energetic awareness space. If you sort of like, where's that feeling? Then you'll lose it too quickly when you start throwing, and the energy will disrupt. Now, Interestingly enough, I've taught this to people without the Qigong awareness. They get it, it just takes longer. So having the vital energy awareness means that your growth rate's accelerated. And the reason why the growth rate accelerates is this quality of sung is deeper. Sung means to relax or transform. So when you vital breathe and you take the vital and you go, relax, there's fascia tension there, but the muscles hang. Now, if a person just goes relax without vital energy awareness, the muscle tension drops, but there's no fascia tension. So they're limp. So in a martial sense, I want to have a bridge that can stop a strike, but the nature of the fascia tension doesn't allow me to be bounced, doesn't allow me to be uprooted. But if I use muscle to bridge into the strike, they switch to the internal and come under, they bounce me, or they break my structure. So a fighter's bridge is halfway between muscle and being limp, and at halfway points generated by facial stretch and joint opening. So you stretch open, hang the muscles, stretch open a bit more, hang the muscles. So you might do this 3 times before a throw. You stretch, hang the muscles, stretch, hang the muscles, stretch. And you notice each time I'm going further, and I'm pre-stretching in such a way that I'm prepping to throw. Then I let the mind energy go out and I throw. And my mind energy is still there, but I'm throwing that way, and I've yin-yang my body. This goes vacuous in yin, and the yang is still out there. So this makes the energy, forces the release. You add more body weight into that, and you force more release. From there, you're charting your progress. So it may be something as simple as someone holds a focus mitt, you hit the focus mitt, and they get a sense, if they're a pad holder for you regularly, they get a sense how much power you got, how much energy you're producing, and they'll have this, oh wow, your power's gone up. They'll sense it straight away. They go, yeah, 10% more power this week. What did you do? And so that's one. Another method is to strike through a pad. So what I like to do is have really heavy bags, not too long, like a half bag, something about this long, hang it up relatively high and hit the bag so it hits the roof. So instead of hitting stopping there, you hit all the way through, and how easily to get it to smash the roof. And when your whole body weight is coming in and you're thinking through, you won't take too long before you're taking that bag up to the roof. It's a different type of thinking, and it's a measurable sense of, oh wow, it's going up. And then when you touch someone's shoulder and connect, they fly away because you're used to connecting so much of your mass. And then you add the energy to it, and things just start to happen. Now, an interesting phenomena with this exercise is if you just do 10 throws in one direction and then 10 throws the other arm and you go to vital breathe, there's more energy there. It goes, oh, what happened? I can feel more. Well, you stimulate all the proprioceptors and the sensitivity of your body. You've released blockages. You've opened up the field, and this yin-yang effect stimulates the spirit. So you have all these reasons why I can feel more energy. And then you do another few more repetitions back, oh, I feel more energy. And then you can build up your energy sensitivity. And each time you feel more energy, write down on the whiteboard why. And then answer the question. I feel more energy because that yin-yang polarity of the vacuum and the extension. I feel more energy because tension was loosened and released out of my joints. I feel more energy because the spirit is more stimulated. I feel more energy because I'm occupying more mental space because you're thinking out that way and throwing that way, which blows the mental space, mental body open. You're feeling more energy because of the proprioceptors being stimulated and releasing. You're feeling more energy because the tree that you're under is simply giving you more while you do the exercise. And you have this list of that's why. And writing it down and journaling it is super important, because the next time you go to do something, let's say you have a desire, I want to write a song. How do I do that? Then you go, well, I've got to open up my mental space. I've got to get access to my astral unconscious that's that's in tune with music. I've got to tune that into the mastery of the writer, of the musician. And then I've got to open that space up, open the matrix and create a door for that to come out. And you have the tools to open the matrices to use it in a way that suits you. Now, Hermetics, it's a life skill. Everything you do every day, you apply the principles to improve your life. And if you're training Hermetics in this way that it's a life skill, you're training all the time. And you're using these universal principles to get results, which puts you in synchronicity with the universe. What is luck? Synchronicity, right place, right time. And lucky people are just unconsciously synchronized. And when you train universal principles, you're teaching your unconscious to synchronize with luck. And things just happen much, much more easily. Okay, so we'll leave the video here. Now we'll just practice the exercises and see you guys in the next video.